Hey guys, real quick here, we're going to go over how to hand cut the shape for the head cookie. So if you want to do the shoulders, the hands, and the head, and the whole thing, you want to project that so it's about the size of the length of your hand, and you want to just cut that out carefully with a knife and then transfer it to your baking sheet. You also have the option of doing just the collar and the head, in which case you would want to project the image a little larger. It would be easier to paint if you're just doing the head and the collar. And it's also easier to paint the features of the face because they're a little bit bigger. But you can do either one, and you can also make this cookie however large you'd like. The smaller it is, the more challenging it will be to paint the face, the facial features. Once you have finished cutting these, you'll want to go ahead and just bake them and let them cool, and come back to the second part of this video for the icing. I did not show the cutting and baking of the two plaque cutter shaped cookies because that's self-explanatory, so make sure you include those in your set of cookies. To ice your cookies, you are just going to pipe and flood your two plaque shaped cookies. One will be blue and one will be white. I airbrushed one of mine blue, but for the sake of the simplicity of a free class, I did suggest blue icing to avoid any airbrushing. After you've iced these, you can pop them in your dehydrator for 10 to 15 minutes before we add the icing on the top. For the head cookie, you'll just line it up under your projector, and using the green, you'll fill the cap and the jacket, and using the skin tone, you will flood the face and the hands. Using the orangish brown, you will pipe and flood the hair, and then the collar and the fur on the cuff of his jacket will also be white. Once you're finished flooding this cookie, you can put it in your dehydrator if you have one. If not, that's okay too. Either way, you need to let this cookie dry for a minimum of 3 hours. It has to be dry enough to withstand the painting process. You can let it fully dry for 6 to 8 hours if you'd prefer. And we will go ahead and pipe and flood the dimensional work on the other two cookies while the icing underneath is not fully dry to prevent any cratering. Here is a quick preview, if you chose to do just the head and the collar, of what it will look like to pipe and flood that. The hat and the little space between the collar will be green, the hair will be the orange brown, and the entire face will be the skin tone. Taking your blue cookie and putting your Santa OMG image into your projector, you're just going to go ahead and line it up and size it inside of the cookie. And I just used my soft piping. I like to use a softer piping so that I don't have to always flood with flooding. And I just filled in the sections with the color that is the same as the image. For the edge of the cookie, you're just going to go ahead and outline with the red and leave a little space on the edge. And then you will take your green and your white piping and alternate with little pearls of icing. Next, you want to do the legs of the elf. I only outlined this so you could see, it would be easier to see when I filled it with icing. You can just ice it directly under your projector. My cookie was fully dry for this, so if your cookie is not fully dry, I recommend skipping the marker part, I also don't recommend making his left his left foot huge. My icing bag was not mixed. My icing had sat, and so the shoe got really big. I had to remake the cookie, but I forgot to video it, so I have to post the original of this. But anyway, you want to just pipe and flood the legs with yellow, pipe and flood the jacket with green, and fill his shoes with black piping. And here comes his really big shoe. You'll watch it just kind of spread. But anyway, once you are done icing your cookies, go ahead and let them dry before you start painting. I recommend a minimum of 3 hours, but you can let them fully dry anywhere from 6 to 8 hours.